But anyway, I appreciate everybody making the time to join us today. We're really excited about the new version of SalesNexus. We're going to show you a little bit of, the new features and talk about how you can move from the old version or the current version to the new version. So that's really the agenda today. It's to talk about the logistics of getting moved over to the new version. Sorry. Let's see if I can figure out how to advance my slides here. Hang on, guys. Bear with me a sec. Okay, there we go. I think Damien was, oh, there's Damien. There we go. Damien, are you there? Well, hopefully he's joining. Anyway, I wanted to just introduce everybody. I'm Craig, obviously. I think most of you know me. And Caleb is on the call. Hi, Caleb.
Hey, everyone.
And Caleb's been instrumental in managing the creation of this new version of SalesNexus. He's been the product manager for the entire project, as well as being our lead client onboarding project manager. So he's a busy guy. And then Damien, who I just mentioned, Damien leads the development team that has been building the new version. And so we wanted him to be here so he could hear feedback directly from you guys, questions, concerns, etc. And also Sabrina is here. Sabrina is who you talk to in support most of the time. Welcome, Sabrina.
Hello, everyone.
So like I said, our goal today is really just to show you a little bit about the new system, talk about how you can get in and try it out yourself, and then talk about the logistics of moving your data from the old version to the new version, and just make sure everybody's really comfortable about that. We've worked really hard to make sure that you can do that easily and confidently, that you're not going to lose things and lose important data that's in the CRM. And then we'll, depending on where we are there, we'll try to wrap this up at the top of the hour. But if we have time, we can get into more detailed, sort of how does the new version work type of questions as well. One of the things I wanted to be sure and point out before we dive into all that is, number one, we've architected everything to make sure that we can promise you that your data is secure. We're not sharing it with other people, just as the same as we've always said all along, but this new version and the AI and everything does not change that. So I just want to make sure and reiterate that for everybody. We also have a whole lot of additional capabilities on our plan. We'll touch on a few of these things as we're looking at the system, but everything from integrating with other applications like accounting and things like that, to really advanced automation of your campaigns. You'll see, again, some of that today, but there's just so much more that we hope and plan to do, as well as just kind of eliminating the nightmare that is your inbox today. You'll see, again, the kind of the beginnings of what is possible there, but there's a lot more. This is definitely not the end. It's only the beginning of a journey. Let's see. So let me just jump in, or actually, you know what, Caleb, do you want to show them around the system, or you want me to?
I'll let you start it off, and if anything
You can
special I
correct me
need
if I'm
over.
wrong.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, so you guys are seeing my screen now. So here I am in the new version, and you can see it's, very different look and feel from the old version. But number one thing I want to make sure people are clear on, in the old version, you have the ability to customize your fields and lay them out in the tabs, as we call them, right? The same thing is true here. It just works a little differently and is really a lot more powerful. So you see right here, this solar install prospect tab. We call it now in the new version, it's called a panel. But it works the same way. I can lay out any of my custom fields in here, and then I can go over here on the right and choose what panels I want to display on the screen. You see how that's working, right? So it's the same as the tabs, with the benefit, of course, that you can lay out multiples, on one page at a time instead of just one at a time. Let's see, I want to turn that one off. And then the panels all come together as one board. And so you see here, this is just an example of how you can organize things, but you can do it however you want. A board is the layout of all of these different panels, right? And so I might have a board for my marketing person, right? So she or he can see what they need to see. And then I have a different board for executives or salespeople or whatever. And so that would be in our old version, like you can share the layouts with other users. Same idea, but now you have two different pieces you can share, the panels themselves, and then an overall board that's the layout of several panels in one screen. So hopefully that's clear. Let me go back.
And Craig, sorry to interrupt, but each panel has its own security permissions?
No, not really. I mean, I don't think so. Correct me if I'm wrong, Caleb, but I think the fields have security permissions, but not necessarily the panels themselves.
Yeah, so you'll be able to share specific panels that you make and then have field visibility and editing rights on a per user basis. So they won't be able to go and create their own panel with those fields that you don't want them to see or anything like that. But yeah, you'll be able to push that.
Okay. Yeah. So like if based on roles or team or circles
Right.
or whatever they want to be, they won't have access to maybe a financial panel or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll look at that in a minute. The ability to set permissions for everything is just infinitely, or not infinitely, but orders of magnitude more flexible than in the old version. Let's see. I'm going to just move this over here and kind of get my board laid out again. So let's see. The other thing that we wanted to touch on, one thing while we're looking at these custom fields, for those of you who haven't tried the system yet at all, the new system, one of the coolest things is when you sign up, you tell it what industry you're in, and it's automatically going to create custom fields for you and start kind of customizing the system for you. The AI does that. It's pretty amazing. In fact, that's what this is. I created a new account for demo purposes, and I told it I was in the solar energy installation, solar panel install business, right? And it came up with all these fields for me. And you can see, not only did it do that, it put in all these different, industry things that people in that type of business need to know about, right? That I didn't even know I should be concerned about, So it's pretty amazing. And we'll show you as we go here some more of how that can help with the campaigns and the automations and things like that as well. But so in terms of what the system does and how it functions, in the old system versus the new, in terms of contacts, tasks, really can do the same thing. And like we just talked about with the custom fields, similar functionality, just with, some additional capabilities, right? Where things have changed significantly and you'll need to plan for is with regards to the email campaigns and automations. So if you're doing a lot of email blasts right now where you're just looking up a list of people and saying, send them all this email right now or tomorrow morning or whatever. That pretty much works the same. You have more of a sequence that you built. That's where things are a lot more advanced now, a lot more flexible. And so we wanted to make sure and touch on that. And that's also directly related to sales opportunities, sales pipeline management as well. It's kind of all in one and the same thing now. So let me show you what I mean by that. From a email campaign point of view, the editor that you use to edit or create the email templates, same exact tool, that same editor. So you don't need to relearn that. It works very similarly. But you just have more options in terms of different types of campaigns and things. If you want to make it part of an automation or a sequence, you just have to choose, this is a templated campaign here. And then once you do that, you go over here to goals. And that's where you really have all kinds of new capabilities. You can see, it's pipeline management on the one hand, where I can just sort of drag and drop my pipeline or opportunities in my pipeline, right? Like you've probably seen in other systems. So this would be, if you're using sales opportunities in the old system, they would show up here and you would have a pipeline that you can move them through the stages, right? But in addition, every stage can have a whole set of automations, right? And so let me go to one where I've set a little more up. So here in my enhance energy efficiency pipeline. So this is my main pipeline for selling people on installing their solar panels, right? Every one of these stages, I have all these automations set up. So you see how this works. When an opportunity is moved to this stage, update a contact field or create another opportunity or move to another stage or send an email or create a task. You have all these options that you can do as people move through your pipeline, right? And that's what you're seeing down here. I've already set it up to send them an email. When stalled in this stage, this one to me is really, really powerful. So in other words, I send them that first email. They've been sitting there for 2 days and nothing's happened. They haven't opened, clicked, whatever. So now we're going to send them another email after 2 days, but only if they don't do something else first. Does that make sense? And then also we want to update some field, right? So you can do that right here in your automations. So each of these stages have all these different automations. And now that I've dragged this opportunity here, a different set of things can happen, right? So that's now how you're going to orchestrate these drip campaigns and automations that previously in the old version were the combination of campaigns and automations. Does that make sense? Anybody have questions about that?
Hey, Craig, I got quite a few steps in one of the applications that I have. How far does this pipeline go out, and to what extent does it go out? Meaning, how much information can we put in on the person?
Well, hang on. You're saying an application, so you mean more like this is a form on your website, right?
No. So, in regards to real estate magazine, so the person who bought an ad in that goes through a process of qualifying them, making sure that we got all the photos and all the information, and they go through the separate stages of approval and edits.
Right.
And I'm thinking that I'm probably sitting at about 13 or 14 steps in that process.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I think I understand. So let me show you just kind of real quickly a little glimpse of it. And then maybe we can, I want to show you something else that's related. So here, right here, I have new stage, right? So I can add as many stages to this process as I want to, right? So I just go here and say, you know, advertising spec gathering or whatever it is, right? And add that stage into my process, right? And you can just keep stacking them up, as many as you need. And then you have automations with each of those stages. So you'll create your own set of steps, and it can be, you know, I don't know, 20, 30 if you want, right? But here's the other thing to think about. One of the other options that you have is you don't have just one pipeline. You can have as many different pipelines as you want, right? So just try and put this in context for everybody else. So this is my pipeline for new customers where I'm going to sell them their first install of solar panels, right? But after I do that, I have all these other services that I'm going to sell them. Maybe I want to come back to them in a few months and sell them a battery backup upgrade. And maybe once a year, I want to try and sell them a, you know, come out and clean their solar panels type of services, you know, all these additional opportunities, right? And those are different pipelines. So what I can do is when they get to the end of this pipeline, I go here and I say, you know, when an opportunity is moved to this stage, then move them to another pipeline or clone them to another pipeline. So I can kind of split them off and have them going through two pipelines at once if I want. But I'll just say post or move to another pipeline, and then it asks me where I want to send them, and I'm going to choose my solar cleaning outreach pipeline, right? And select where I want to put them in, you know, which stage in that pipeline. And so now as soon as I close the deal, this is kind of the simple idea. When I close the deal for the install, they automatically get copied over to my solar cleaning pipeline here. And that can be a whole other set of emails and tasks and whatever else you want to do. And in addition, you can have a different kind of pipeline, which is what we have here, which is more of a, what we call it a marketing pipeline, but it's more of a just a pure outreach, you know, messaging sequence rather than a sales pipeline where you got salespeople getting involved. So every one of these, just like with the sales stages, has its own set of triggers and automations, just like with the sales pipeline. And then when, you know, in these, you'll do things like when the contact opens my email or when the contact clicks my email, then I want to move them to my other pipeline, which is the one, my sales pipeline. And that one's going to have a trigger for my sales rep to call them. So I know that's a lot. But the point is, Tim, back to your question, probably you're going to end up breaking that one long process into maybe 2 or 3 shorter processes. But you don't have to. If you want to, you can just have one big long process. And each of those would be a pipeline, and then they'll all be here in this list, and you know, can manage each of them individually.
Let me follow up with one question here. The list that you're pulling off of, the one that have all the zeros on it, are those your pipelines or those the emails?
The pipelines.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep. Good question. Now let me show you this. I'm going to create a new one. Let's see. So application for solar financing. Let's see, sales pipeline for new customers to apply for financing of their solar panel installation. Create goal. And right here, I say AI recommend. And now it's going to try and create a pipeline for me. And we won't bother tinkering with that or micromanaging that stuff. But you see, lead capture, application submitted, under review, and financing approved. Pretty close to what most people that are doing financing need to do, right? And you'll see also it even has set up automations for you that it thinks are going to be useful. Of course, you can change all of this, but it gives you a starting point, right? So that's a pretty powerful way to get this kind of thing started. For a lot of our customers who haven't really used the automations yet, that's going to be a really powerful tool to just lead you forward. If you're trying to reproduce the automations that you already have in the old system, you're probably going to be best, building them as a pipeline, one stage at a time, like we looked at in the beginning here.
Craig, can I chime in one more time?
Sure.
When you're asking AI to do that, and I already have my process laid out in a Kanban system, can I prompt that AI to give my headers that I already have, and so that I could just easily match that up and pull that from that software to here?
I'm not sure where it's coming from, but I mean, you can kind of put whatever you want into that text box that I was typing in there, right? Where I put the prompt essentially.
Yes.
So
So
I
I
guess
could tell it to make 13 steps, and these are the step names, is what
Exactly.
basically what I'm asking. I could do that, right?
Yep,
Absolutely.
Tim, I put that exact same thing in, and with this is where the description, you can be as undescriptive or as descriptive as you want. The more descriptive you are, the more closely it's going to generate what you're looking for. So I have it at the stage 1 is named this, and this is what it's for, and so it'll create those triggers based off of that too. The more specific you can be, it'll build it.
Cool. Saved me a lot of time setting that up. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just noticed Mark and Sue, you guys weren't added to the stage, so sorry about that. I just added you so you guys can ask questions too. Let's see. One other thing I wanted to be sure we look at real quick before we start talking about migration and everything. We just touched on the AI a little bit. The other thing that's really neat and powerful, most of you are familiar with our email capture service that's talking to your Gmail or Outlook account and grabbing your emails and attaching them to the CRM, right? That same service is available in the new version. We just put it in a panel here called Email Conversations. And so every thread of emails that I've had with Amanda here, who I'm looking at, is now here. And you see here, these are the emails she sent to me, and I can hit the reply button, and now the AI is going to draft a reply for me, right? And you see, what I want you to notice, though, is it's specifically mentioning 3,200 square foot house, high-pitched roof. I think it also somewhere in there says something about needing to talk to her husband, right? And that is because it could have been because that was part of the email conversation with her. But in her case, it's actually because in a previous call, I had clicked and called her, which now it's going to try and it's, I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's dialing my phone so I can call Amanda, right? So it's click to call. And when we have that conversation, it's going to record it. And that's what you're seeing here. Every call I've had with Amanda has been recorded so I can replay it. And I automatically have a transcript of that conversation. And somewhere in here, you can see right there, that's where it got the 3,200 square feet, right? So just that alone, to me, is just so powerful, right? Every conversation you have with a customer, every little detail that you talked about. Now, when the AI writes an email for you or suggests what to do with Amanda, it's looking at all of that information that you exchanged with her in a phone conversation, not just an email or a document or something like that. So really, really powerful.
Question, Greg.
Yep.
When you're clicking that phone number and it's dialing to your phone, is that setting up a conference call between Amanda and you? Is that what that's doing, or is that taking your phone number and calling it out?
It's not really a conference call. It's just the way I have it configured so that I can demo on my computer, but use my phone, you know?
Okay.
You can do it differently. There's different configuration options, but essentially what's happening is it's just making sure it's connected to you on the calling end before it dials Amanda.
Got it.
You could also have a soft phone installed on your computer that it would just open up the call.
And I have a Google number. Will it do the same thing for that?
Right now, we're only connected to Ring Central and Twilio.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's see. Okay. I think, Caleb, we should probably get into the migration stuff before we run out of time here.
Yep.
You want to take over?
Sure. Do you want to show them the on the legacy system what that looks like, or do you want me to take care of that too?
I can do that. Let me just bring that over here. Bear with me a second, guys. Just go into that same staging database, right?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, you guys seeing that? Yep. Well, actually, let me do this first because I had a slide to help everybody understand the timing of everything. There we go. So here's kind of how we're laying out the timing. On the 16th, so that's not next Monday, but the following, you will get an update to your current version. And it will have what we're about to show you, as well as a few refinements that we'll talk about. And it'll create a backup of your data, which it will then send over to your new SalesNexus account. And then it'll take an hour or two for the new version to digest all your information. And then you jump into the new version and all your data's there. Notes, contacts, tasks, opportunities, all that stuff. And that's what we're going to look at here. But
Craig, I'm sorry, all attachments, images and stuff will get moved over to?
The
Like documents?
Documents, yeah.
Client pictures, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yep. And let's see. The other thing I wanted to be sure and mention, again, we'll look at this more in detail, but you can do this, go over to the new version and play around and kind of get familiar with things, but your old version's still running and you can still use it, right? The sync between the two databases is not both ways, it's one way. So when you back up your data and send it to the new version, you're getting today's snapshot of all of your data, right? If you play around in the new version for a couple of weeks and you start getting comfortable and you're like, okay, I'm ready to really move over there officially, then you can come back to the old version, do it again, and it's going to send a new backup, and the system's smart enough to just grab all your new data and update everything so you don't lose anything in that intervening 2 weeks. Does that make sense to everybody? So the important thing, though, for everybody to understand is if you make changes in the new version, those are not going to be synced back to your old version. It's just a one-way thing. So let me go back. Okay, so what you'll see in the new version is something like this. You click on Start Migration. And again, this is just beginning the process. It's not turning off the old version or anything. You still have options. So it's going to ask you then if you already have a SalesNexus account. If you do not, you just if you do, you put in the email address that you used when you created that new account in the new version, and it'll find that and use that. Or you just go here and say no, and you put in, some new your address, right? And now it's creating your account in the new version. And now you can create your backup. So you click on Backup for Migration. And here you can choose what to send over. For various reasons, you may not want to send everything, right? Maybe you're wanting to start fresh in some areas or whatever. If you don't care about any of that, just leave everything checked. This really doesn't matter, even if you haven't used some of these areas in the system. So you say Initiate Migration, and now you can see it's starting to back up all your data and create a zip file, which right now, the way we have it set up for our just testing purposes, you can download the zip file and, go and manually migrate that into the new version. Once it's released on the 16th, what will happen next is it's automatically sent over the new version, and then it's going to notify, you'll see a progress here, and it'll tell you when everything's been migrated over and is ready for you in the new version. Does that all make sense? Anybody have questions about that? No? Okay. So then once it's all been migrated over, we log on to the new version and we see all of our data. So Caleb, you want to take over at this point?
Sure. Yeah.
Let me turn off my screen.
Craig, when you create the new account, do you have to use a different email address than your previous old account had?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that.
No, it can be any email. It could be the same one, any other one. We can either link to any new account.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep. All right. You guys can see my screen okay?
No, not yet. Oh, there you are. Okay. Okay.
Great.
Now we're good.
Okay. So just to show as an example, I'm in the old system that I have already migrated over to the new system. I have some contacts in here like this one that happens to have a couple notes. If I go over to the new system, we can see that those same contacts that we were just looking at are over here in the new one. I have all the notes that have transferred over. And let me show you guys as well. So I take this, go to this one. Under this person, I have documents that successfully pulled over as well. And I can view those documents as I want. Images, PDFs, Word, whatever it is. We'll go into here. And all the fields that were able to come over, like title, company, all of that came over fine. Anybody who didn't have a name right now, it's null. But we are still working on the exactly how it gets displayed once it's transferred over here. But we have all the contacts. We got all the opportunities in here. If I run over to goals, it'll create you this default pipeline and place all of your opportunities into the various stages that you have in the opportunities in the old system. So you can see those in here and as well listed right here. And then, of course, it will bring in your templates and campaigns, and those are going to come in as marketing pipelines. I don't have one in this example, but those will be individual marketing pipelines that have their all the stages that you had set up in the old system for a campaign will be in there. And then same thing with tasks, pulled all the tasks over. And if I go over to users, you'll see all the user bases are in here as well.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So if a user or an account that has, say, like 6 users and the main administrator gets everything migrated from the legacy system to the new system, does that mean that all of the other users have to follow suit, or are they still able to use the legacy system with all the information in it? If that makes sense, sorry.
Yeah. So they'll still be able to continue to use the old system as normal. We won't make anything like we're doing the migration into a beta environment still. Not until that beta environment and all the data that's in there all looks good to you, are we going to switch you over to a live environment? And even at that point, it still doesn't necessarily mean that we're completely shutting down the old system. We'll give you plenty of heads up for the sunset date of that app, but we're not talking tomorrow, next few months, or anything.
But if one person at the company is using the old version and one person is using the new versions, you won't be able to sync those, right? So we kind of do need to coordinate across users.
Right. So you'll be able to sync anything that anything that's happening in the old system, you'll be able to push to the new system to get the most updated information. But anything that's happening in the new system will not be able to be transferred to the old one.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, just practically speaking, I'm thinking, you may want to do kind of like what Sabrina was suggesting there, 1 or 2 users try to live in the new system a little bit and get familiar with things so that they're up to speed enough to be able to say to the rest of the team, okay, here's how you do the core key workflows that we have to do in our business all day, every day. Right. But you do that for a limited amount of time, right? A few days, a couple of weeks, something like that, until you're really feeling solid about it. And then you go back and do one more data migration and bring everybody over, do a little training, et cetera, et cetera.
Awesome, thank you.
Anything I missed here, Craig?
No, I mean, I guess I'm curious what questions everybody has about the migration of the data itself in particular. Anybody?
Looks like the migration looks pretty easy to me at this stage of the game.
Yeah. Caleb and Damien and the team have really done a great job. It's
Craig, from my perspective, the added functionality that someone's going to get in the new version is remarkable. I mean, it really is big time stuff. Okay. The migration seems easy as well for somebody just to kind of move over. However, how you do what you do is markedly different between the two platforms. So somebody is going to have to put on their training wheels and kind of come along slowly and figure out what all the clicks do and what does this do and how do I get over here, and I wanted to be able to do this. I knew how to do it in the old system, but I'm not sure how to do it in the new system. Is there a training wheels guide that you guys have developed to kind of hold somebody's hand along the way to show them the ins and outs from a high level, and then they can kind of drill down a little bit as they get better? Is there anything like that?
Yeah, great question, bud. Caleb, you want to show them just what's built into the new UI first?
Sure. Yeah. So if you need help, we do have some knowledge base articles that we are creating as the system is being developed. Things are changing all the time, but we're getting more and more up every day. You can access that via the help, and that'll take you to our knowledge base, just like in the old system. The AI also is tapped into any of that, so you can go in and ask Nexi, how do I create a contact? And Nexi will give you a little how-to guide on how to do that. And of course, we're still iterating on this, but she'll tell you that you can go over and do one manually with the plus, or you can upload with the CSV file featured. And then the actual guide that it's referencing to on our knowledge base is there as well. Working on getting that to where it directly links you to that, but that is the plan. But you can go, and I encourage everybody to go in and really see what this AI can do. I've got it to be able to create fields for me on the fly, fill in field data just with basic things. If you're trying to mass update people, anything like that, send emails, create tasks, have suggestions on how to create your pipelines. You can go and talk to the AI, and it'll give you its best answer. And so far, we've had some pretty good success with that.
Yeah, and to circle back to that, Bud, this is as good a time as any to talk about, let's see, how do I get there? Here we go. We put together some different packages for everybody. Let's see, I got to get it on stage. Here we go. So we can help you with all of this. So everybody, what we've looked at so far, you can do this yourself, just like we've been doing so far in this discussion, right? You know, if you wanted to just have, you know, do that and then have a one-on-one training for you or your team, then that's $250. If you want to have us really help you with making sure that all of your campaigns and your custom layouts and lookups and all of that get migrated over and nothing's changed or lost in terms of all those little details about how things are laid out, we can do that. That's $2,000. And then what I think a lot of people are going to want to do is, hey, the system can do all this new stuff. I want to take advantage of that. So I probably need to reevaluate my processes in the first place. And we can help you with that as well. So kind of getting into the new system, analyzing your current processes, and then really brainstorming with you to think about how can we really automate a lot of that or make them better, et cetera. So you can see the prices there, $2,000 or $3,000. And the other thing to be sure and mention is that, first of all, I'll put this link in the chat so everybody can reference those prices and everything that's on our website. But we also, you know, every Tuesday we're doing our live training, right? So you can come here to our training page, weekly live training sessions, and register here and just sign up for those Tuesday sessions and show up in those meetings. It's 2:00 Central Time, 3:00 Eastern. I guess that's it's at noon Pacific. You know, we can help you with questions, tweaking things, et cetera. It's usually a relatively small group of people, you know, 4 or 5 people most of the time. So you get plenty of time to ask questions, and we can really get into solving your particular questions and problems and things like that. Let's see. Caleb, you made me think of something that we really ought to talk about in the system. But now I can't remember what it was. Oh, I know. Dashboards and stuff, right? That's just a zillion times better now in the new version. They're just much better looking graphs and things that you can do. Mm-hmm. And the best thing about it is you can do it with the AI. You don't have to go into some configuration wizard and set it all up, you know? You can just tell Nexi what you want and it'll create a graph for you. That's what it was, Caleb. Lookups. I didn't really touch on that earlier. That's kind of a big deal for some people, right?
Yep.
So now as you guys have seen, we have these controls over on the right side of the screen. Some of them are sort of crucial to the normal workflows that you're used to in SalesNexus. The panels being one of those. The other one here is this table view. So that's just switching to the list view. So kind of like doing view all contacts or view lookup in the current version. But then you can also go to lookups, and that's like create a lookup in the current version. Here, if I hit the plus, I can create a new one. The user interface for this is a little different, but same basic capabilities. You know, I can choose here, I'm choosing what fields are going to be in the results, right? In other words, what columns I'll see. And I can sit here and manually add conditions or criteria, you know, so just like you're used to, if the create date was less than a week ago or whatever, you know. But I can also just go here and say, you know, create a list of contacts that have new notes this week or whatever, right? And it's just going to build it for me. I didn't give it a name, which I think will be important, but so it'll do that for you. And, you know, so it's, yeah, it's done, right? And I just save it. And there it is. There's my list. And then over here, here's all your saved lookups. So I can jump around, you know, different lookups. You can see how the columns change depending on, you know, the lookup that I do. And so functionality, capability, I guess, is similar to the current version. It's just in a different place, and you have the AI to help you do it. So I wanted to make sure we touched on that just because I know a lot of people really depend on that. Let's see.
Can you tell me, like in the current version, if we made changes, I do a new lookup every time, but will the saved lookups incorporate any, like if there's a person that didn't fit into the criteria a week ago and I pull up that lookup this week and now someone does, will it pull them in?
Yeah, for sure. And gosh, well, to be clear for you, it's yes, it works exactly the same way. The lists are dynamic. Every time you go and pull that lookup, it's reapplying the same criteria to the database as it exists today, right? So any changes that have happened will be reflected in that.
Okay,
that
thanks.
makes sense.
Yes. One other question, that left-hand panel where you're on contacts right now, is that flexible? Like, can we add like a company there?
Good question. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So two things that are still not officially live in the new version yet that we're currently working on that everybody needs to be aware of. And that's why Caleb was talking about, you know, right now when you migrate over, you're going into the beta version, right? But to be clear, company, or in the old version, we call it groups, right? And people use that in a lot of different ways. Some people use it as companies. Some people use it more to just as a way to save a list of things or a list of people. In the new version, we're building it more as a, you know, an account management account or company module. That's not done yet. That's why you don't see it here, but it will be there. And then the other thing you need to be aware of is you can have multiple users in the system, but if you have things set up to where each user has different permissions in terms of which contacts they can see. All of that's not fully implemented yet. So you'll want to be, careful about bringing over all your users until we get that update out there. We kind of touched on this earlier, but the permissions model is just way, way, way more advanced. So I can come in and, designate for my emails who can make changes, who can, create campaigns, all of that stuff. And also, while we're talking about permissions, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I know, it was related to emails. When you migrate over, one of the things that will come up, I'm sure, is you'll go, oh, shoot, am I all of a sudden now sending emails out of both systems, right? And so what you need to understand is the way we've implemented how you do the DKIM and all that stuff in the old version, it's very different now, a lot easier. But if you don't, it will not send your emails unless you do that stuff in the new version. So you can migrate your data over and play around with it and do campaigns and all that stuff, but you're not going to send any emails until you actually go and, set up all your DKIM and SPF and all that good stuff. So that's kind of a fail safe for you, just FYI. Let's see. Rhinell is asking over here, how does it work if you don't have anything to migrate over? Then you really don't have to worry about it, Rhinell. You can go create a new account in the new version and just go for it. Just start fresh, in other words. So you would go here. Easiest way to do it is just go to start a free trial. And it'll take you here. And like I was mentioning earlier, be as specific as possible when you type in your industry here, because the system will create custom fields for you and things automatically. So that can be super helpful when you're getting everything started from scratch.
I'm sorry, Craig, is the webhooks and automation live now with the new version?
Let's see. The API is live. And the API is, the way I should say it is, when we embarked on this whole project, one of the major reasons for doing so was we wanted to rebuild so that the whole thing was really API centric. So now, even internally, we're using our own API. You have a lot more options for what kind of APIs you can call. And as you, I think, probably noticed in your goals, when you're setting up those triggers, right, you can say, post a webhook and things like that. So if you're trying to integrate with other systems and stuff. Does that make sense?
So if we create a contact in here, we can move over the pertinent, username, email, address type of thing to another system on that trigger. Every time you add a new contact, boom, it's there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I think I know where you're going.
Yep.
And you can see how powerful it can be, right? It can be, here's the way I'm picturing it. I have a lead pipeline for my new leads. Like if I have some, download our free guide to blah, 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 right? That's my lead magnet on my website.
Mm-hmm.
They go into a marketing pipeline that just, sends them a few emails, right? It sends them the guide that they requested and, maybe a text message. And if they don't, do anything for another day or two, then it sends them something else or whatever. But as soon as they click on one of those emails, then they automatically go to the next stage. And then in that stage, you know, if they fill out my form or click on something or whatever the trick is, they would then get moved to my sales pipeline. And there I can say, okay, now I have a qualified lead. I want to use a webhook to post that over to some other system. So I'm not posting all of the spam and everything that I'm getting via my free form on the website. I'm only posting the ones that have done the things that indicate they're qualified leads. Or, you know, when I've collected the right information from them and I know that their budget is more than $100,000 or whatever, then that means I want to send them to this other system, whatever. I hope that makes sense. I keep thinking of related things. Oh, I know. Forms. That's the other big thing that we didn't have in the old version, do not have in the old version, but now using the same editor that you use for your emails, you know, so it's very familiar layout and tools and everything. You can build a form, publish it, and then put it on your website. So that's what you're seeing here, that same form on my web page.
Greg, does that have conditional logic to it?
Not yet.
Really.
Yeah, not yet. That's one of the things that we're wanting to add.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, the way you would do that now, even in the as it's currently implemented, Tim, is you would, in that pipeline, you would set up the conditions in there. You know, so if they filled out their, you know, that they're eligible for this federal program or something like that, then that automatically sends them certain emails or puts them in a certain pipeline or whatever.
Yeah, I think he was hoping that if he answered this one question this way, it changes the next question.
Oh,
to something else.
in the form itself. I see.
Yeah, in the form itself.
Yeah. Well, according to Caleb, that's coming.
We got an anticipation date.
Yeah, I wouldn't say in the next month, but it's something we have to work with the B editor itself in order to get that to work. So,
Sure.
but there's all sorts of conditional formatting we're wanting to do, even with our own fields and how they show up in your panel. So there's a lot of stuff we're wanting to do with the conditional stuff, not just with forms. And Craig, if you want to show them the existing stuff, the existing form, there's actually a really cool updates that Andres has just put in there.
You mean just go in here and edit this one?
That your existing, if you have an existing form connection, like the wiretap.
Oh, I see. So like if I go here to a form that I already have on my web page, right?
Yep.
And then take that URL and then go up here.
So you don't need the URL. Actually, all you need to do is create for using existing form, give it an internal name, make sure that you're verified with that domain. So you have to have that domain connection with DKIM. And then that's it. You paste the script that it gives you back from this onto your form. Then what you do is you do a test submission on your form, and that comes into the system and allows you to do the mapping for the fields. And what's really, really cool about this is that it saves those submissions in a way to where if you want to go in and change the field mapping later, you can resubmit previously submitted submission. So if I didn't have the full field mapping set up, I can go in and update it later and then resubmit those previously submitted forms and they'll come in. I think it's in dev right now, Craig. I thought it may have been in beta.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. It's not quite there.
Yeah, but it should, in terms of being able to get your existing forms connected, it's 10 times simpler than what it was in the old system. So
well, it's a good point though, because sorry, go ahead. What was that?
We don't need Zapier to do that then?
No.
Nope.
So if you're using what we have previously called our lead capture service, where you had a little JavaScript that you pasted into your form, this would replace that. And certainly is a lot easier to set up.
When's that hitting the road?
Well, so to be clear, you have two options. One is you build the form in SalesNexus in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And the other option is you take a form that's already on your website and do what Caleb was just showing us. So what I would say is if you don't already have the form on your website,
I do.
Yeah, then you probably want to do what Caleb was just talking about. And I don't know, Caleb, if it's
I do
already
have
in
a way to
dev-
show.
What's that?
I do have a way to show.
You want to show it?
Sure.
Okay.
It doesn't have any data I'm pulling in just yet or anything, but just as an example, it does have a few more buttons in here. So if you guys can see that, yep.
Wait, sorry, hang on. I'm adding the wrong screen. There you go. I think that's you.
Okay. So I've gotten my embed code. All I had to do was give it what the name of the form is and validate that I own that domain. I get this code. You paste it on your site where the form exists. And right now we've tested it to where placing it pretty much anywhere on your site within the body works just fine. You do your submission on your form, and then you'll see the submissions in here too. So you can go to view submissions, and they'll be listed out in here. When you get that first submission, you'll be able to go into a field mapping, which I wish I could show, but what it would show is that submission that you just did. And it'll show the values that came in and the fields from your form. And then you're able to then map it to the fields in the system, create new fields in the system if you don't have them already. And then there's also an AI suggest, which can help auto map those fields for you. And then you save that mapping. And what it's going to do is give you a little prompt to that you have an outdated mapping on your previous submissions. And so you'll be able to go into the submissions and reprocess those submissions. And that will reprocess any previous submission that you had in the past from that form with that new field mapping. So you don't have to worry about that field mapping being perfect on the first try. You can always go back later and update it and reprocess those submissions.
Yeah, that is super cool.
Craig, can I chime in real quick? Or
Sure.
Caleb? Sorry. Caleb, sir, I have a form that has conditional logic, and if it's just pulling from the fields, like a Google Sheet column,
yep.
If they're filling out that form and we don't have conditional logic here, would I be able to transition and use that form, continue to use that form, and then just map it in here?
Yes, exactly. So this is where you don't even have to have that fully fleshed out, right? Normally, if you wanted to do a test and get all the field mappings done on one shot, you'd have to go through and get all of those conditions to show, and then select every type of field, put some values in there. But you don't have to do that with this system. As new submissions come in and they have those extra fields that came out of those conditions, it'll give you the prompt to update that field mapping. You can create those new fields on the fly and then reprocess those submissions, and they'll be updated with the information that they submitted.
You guys are eliminating Zapier.
Trying to.
Well, and Tim, one of the things I wanted to mention is, first of all, you're getting into, why this isn't always so simple, right? You have those unique little things about the way you're running things in your business that you want to get just right, right? So that's why we put together those packages so that, you can work directly with Caleb, and he'll help you get everything just right while you're still running your business, And one thing I meant to mention earlier, but we never got around to, if Ann answered a question a minute ago, and I didn't want to wait too long before we answered it. So Ann's asking if you can't migrate in February, what are your options? How long do you have? And the question is, the answer is that, you know, you don't have to rush. That's, I guess, the short version. My hope is that we'll have everybody moved over by sometime in April. But, you know, there's a lot that we have to do. We have to get a few things done and released, as we've already talked about, which I'm confident will be done well in advance of April. But then we want to be sure that we're able to, you know, let you take the appropriate time once everything that you need and are going to depend on is ready. We want to give you time to get in, you know, take it for a test drive, get familiar with it, get confident in it, and then officially move in, right? And so, you know, that you're busy, you're running your own business. Doesn't always happen overnight. So, you know, I'd say you want to plan on beginning to get familiar with the system as soon as you possibly can. You know, there's no reason not to. And then, you know, it's bring over your data, see how it all looks in the new system. And I think once you get to that point, you will start to kind of see yourself in the new system, right? And then it's a question of, are there particular processes that you're going to have to adjust a little bit? Or is it more of an issue of training the rest of your team and that sort of thing? And, you know, obviously those things take a little more time. And like we've talked about, if you need our help with that, join our live trainings on Tuesday, or let us know about, you know, scheduling a one-on-one training or one of these migration packages. So
Greg,
again,
two questions.
short answer is no super big rush right now.
Two questions, sir.
Yes, sir.
One, is Nexi going to have, do you have a plan for Nexi to have a microphone capability so we just talk what our prompt is? And second will be, is there a plan for a portal?
A portal? When you
Yeah,
say a
for
portal,
clients.
what do you mean by that?
For clients.
So like if I'm your customer and I'm going through the process of applying to be an advertiser or something, right?
Correct.
And you want me to be able to log on and review my application status or update my
Upload
creative
photos, approve an edit, those type of things.
That's not, it's something we've talked about, and it's definitely on the list. I wouldn't say it's at the top of the list, but
Okay, understood.
I also don't know how big a trick it is, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, the capabilities are there. It's again with the B editor. They actually let you build your whole own website, landing pages, and things like that. So we'll just have to look into connecting that with certain things. I imagine people want to be able to display calendars and things like that, scheduled times that they have with people, availability, and things like that. So it is on the roadmap, but it's not the top priority at the moment.
Yeah, and regarding your question about the voice part of it, you know, it's a great question. And, you know, early in the development of the system, one of the sort of debates that we had was, well, shoot, should we just really make Nexi the interface for the whole system, right? So you're just asking it, whatever, you know, call Tim and it dials my phone, right? I don't even have to go to your contact, right? That sort of thing. And you know, I guess the question is, we don't know how far people want to go with that. But to answer your question clearly, my vision is that on mobile, we definitely want to lean in that direction to where I can just grab my phone and say, call Tim, or, you know, send an email to Tim, right? And then it might just summarize the email for me and say, would you like me to send it? Yes. Off, you know?
So that goes to, I'm sorry, Craig. So you will have the syncs available shortly for the mobile app?
Right now, the way it works is you will access the new version via a browser, not an app. But the whole system's been kind of mobile responsive built. Does that make sense?
Well, I guess the question is there a script or something that would send it over to, and I'm an Android, so I just say, my phone app on Google or to Apple's.
Oh, to sync the contacts with your address book. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
That's a good question, and I don't know the detailed answers about that. I mean, that's something that has to be addressed one way or the other, right? It's harder on iPhone than it is on Android to do that. Apple's just weird about letting you do that. But even in our current version, when you open up the mobile app, you have an option to import your address book. It just doesn't sync.
Right. It's just that once again in New York, we can't even look at our phone anymore, and they just passed a 1 mile over the speed limit law too. So there's a money grab everywhere.
Oh man.
Good luck there.
Yeah. So it becomes.
So you have
syncing,
to be able to say, call Bob.
Yeah, 100%. I have to be able to do that in my car. Yep.
Interesting. Well, let's just, since we have the opportunity, like in my view, our mobile app will be able to just do that if that contact is in SalesNexus, right? It's a separate question as to whether it's in your Android address book or not. I mean, I can see why you would want to automatically have them syncing, but as long as they're in the CRM, then you should be able to do that.
But I can't. But unfortunately, I can't click the button on my steering wheel and say call Craig.
No, you would just talk to it, right?
But you have to reach for your phone to do that.
But don't you have to do that with the address book too?
No.
Yeah, so this is where like connecting with Siri and all of that. That's where, especially with Apple, it's going to be more of a trick, because they like right now the only one that they have connected with officially is ChatGPT, as an extra AI source that Siri can use. So that's something we'll have to look at, but not any real promises there.
Yeah, like more like Android Auto and Apple CarPlay type of thing. It's just like literally, if it's not in the address book, it won't let you use it to call or recognize a caller ID type of thing.
Right.
So
Can you ask,
as a person who's, I'm just going on the side, as a person who's got a ticket, by looking down at my phone, which blew my mind, right? Going 10 miles under the speed limit. That's what they're doing now.
Gotcha.
Crazy.
let me ask you a question. Can you ask the phone to dial a phone number? Is that possible? Or
You can, but you'd have to know the phone number. Like, so if you're driving,
sure.
you're just going to want to hit the button and say, call Craig Klein.
Yeah.
And then it would say there's 2 Craig Kleins. Okay. And that's how I would do it if it was in the address book. We can't. Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, it's a good question. And that all of that, the landscape of that has really changed a lot recently too. And it's changing. That's the challenge. Is it's not very easy to even figure out what the options are, much less are they going to be the same next year, but that's, I guess the important thing to know right now is it's definitely on our list of things to address. It's obviously a key workflow for our core users, so we'll come up with some answers. Let's see. Caleb, what else? What have we not covered?
Just to make sure it's clear, because we have a question about like what happens with AppSumo users, things like that. So part of the migration, and this is where right now, even if you don't have a lot of stuff in there, it's still important for you to go through the migration process. And I would recommend to at least just leave the contacts as something that you pull over, because that'll bring over your My Record contacts as well. And then users as a default that has to come over. But then that will also help connect your current subscription with the new system. So that is key. You do want to make sure that you go through that migration process just to make sure that your subscription carries over.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that earlier. The prices have changed, but for existing customers, it's not our intention to change your prices. So whatever your current subscription and pricing and everything is, that will continue. But the easiest way to make sure that's the case is just like Caleb said, go through the migration process, and it basically copies your subscription and billing information from the old system to the new system. Okay, well, we've gone pretty well over the hour that we had set aside, but this is good. We got some good feedback, and I really appreciate everybody's time. And we're gonna be publishing this so that you can reference it in the future, the recording that is, and then like we mentioned, on the 16th, you'll get an update in our system, in the current system, that will have this migration capability, and you can go to town. And I'll look forward to seeing all of you guys in our live training on the 17th.
You might want to make that a 3-hour block.
Yeah, block out a little extra time. Yeah, thank you guys. Really appreciate y'all and all your feedback. And please keep it coming. You'll notice there's a feedback button in the system, in the new system, and that's super helpful. So as you get in there and you see things that ideas or suggestions or problems, whatever, please let us know.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Have a great day.
Thank you
Thank you.
Have a
guys.
great afternoon. Bye-bye.
Have a good afternoon.